Hi guys, welcome back with me, David Setiabudi, and today we are going to continue the high and low level language part 2. Now, let's begin. As you see, previously you learned about the process of high level language and then going to assembly here. Okay, going to assembly, and then it goes to the machine code. And here is the example of the high level language, which is more English-like and still understandable. This one is temporary. And here is the assembly language sample. It's ARM, MIPS, or x86. The first one here, high-level language, C++, C#, Python, Lingo, Java, Delphi, Fortran, and the other. And here we see the assembly language, which is harder to understand. And then the last one here, after become an assembly language, this one use compiler, and this one is using assembler. Later on, we are going to learn what is compiler, what is assembler, what is interpreter in programming. And the last one is machine language, which is 0 and 1 only. This one, okay, can communicate with the computer. And these, we need compiler and assembler first to be understood by the computer. So these codes are translated by the compiler into these. Because you don't type like this, 101010, because you don't understand this. Maybe some of you who are really special, you do understand to talk to the computer using 1, 0, and so on. But most people or most programmers are using high-level language, this one, and then you use compiler, and it becomes like this, and then the computer can do whatever you want, as long as it's translated into 0 and 1. Okay, so in this part 2, we are going to see this one. Okay, this is the sample of ARM language, ARM assembly language. You see? And this one is also assembly language, but it's based on x86 by Intel. You don't need to remember this. At least you know how complicated is the assembly language. Oh, this one is not a machine code. This one is assembly. So you need to know there are two kinds of low-level language. The first one is assembly language, like this, and the second one is machine code. So there are two. If I say assembly language is not a low-level language, then the answer is false, because assembly language is considered as low-level language. Okay, you don't need to learn this. It much later on. Okay, if you are become a professional programmer. Okay guys, now we are talking about translators. What is translator? Okay, so a program, let's read. Programs are written by humans, so that the people who are trained as computer programmers can understand. So if I'm a computer programmer, I write down some programs in high-level language. I can understand. When I give it to you, if you are a programmer, you also can understand what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, in order to be used by the computer, because computer, okay, only understand machine language, programs need to be translated into binary instruction. What is binary instruction? Okay, or machine code that the computer understands. Because you cannot simply command a computer or the processor as you use English, Spanish, or Chinese, or even Japanese. They don't understand it. So you need to use binary, 0 or 1, or machine language. Now, for this translator, humans find it is hard to read or write in binary. Of course, you cannot write 010, 0101, and then you ask the computer to show or to play a music. So it's really hard to talk with the computer. Okay, human finds it is hard to read or to write binary to talk to the computer. So what do humans do? So humans create the high-level language and the translator to binary. Then the computer can understand. Okay, so I type down a program and I want the computer to play the music. But I cannot simply command the computer to play the music. I need something. Something is translator, and the translator translates my command into. Okay, then the computer can understand. Moving next. Okay, so what is a translator? A translator is a programming language processor that processes the language, that converts a computer program from one language to another language. It means, so let's say you are writing in assembly language, or you type down or you write down using high-level language. Then the translator process your language, and then it become converted into a computer language. Okay, that is the translator, and it takes a program written in source code and converts it into a machine code. It discovers and identifies the error during translation. Okay, so what the translator do, okay, let's say you make a program. So you need to know what is a source code. Okay, you make a program, okay, using high-level language or assembly language, and then the translator converts it into a machine code 01010101, and then it's also discovering, okay, you make an error in the program. The computer cannot understand this, so write it well. That is what translators do. Okay? If you don't understand, you can always come to me and ask. So, there are 3 types of translators. The first translators is compilers, interpreters, and assemblers. So compiler, interpreter, and assembler. Okay? Okay, if I ask you what are the 3 types of translators? The first one is, compiler. The second one is interpreter. The third one is, assembler. Right. Now, we are going to talk about interpreters. What is interpreter? Interpreter is a computer program that reads a statement, only a statement, from a program which, written in higher level language, performs the specified action and does the same with the next statement and so on. Okay, for the first listener, you will hear things that I said is like, interpreter is a blah 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 blah. You don't understand it, but I will explain one by one. Okay, the most important is your understanding about what is interpreter, and then you can remember the sentence well. Okay, so in this interpreter, okay, you can see here, the first one is print hello. You do this programming. Okay, you do this programming, print hello, and then print name string, and then let a equals to a plus 1, and then repeat, and so on. You do the sentence of the programming line, you create line by line by line, and then the next one. Okay, so what does the interpreter do? It's different than compiler. Compiler do all of this into a machine code, then executes it, but it will be later on. But for interpreter, it will do line by line. Okay, so interpreter is a computer program that reads a statement. It reads a statement only, this one. Read a statement first, just one statement. Patience, wait for it, just one, okay? And then print hello. It goes to the interpreter program and said hello, okay? And then this one, a statement from a program written in high level language. That one you already understand. And performs the specified action. The action is saying hello. It will say hello, performs the specified action. And then what's next? And does the same with the next statement and so on. It means after you do hello, it goes back here and goes to the next statement, which is print name string. So let's say your name, the input of the name is Mr. A, and then it will say here after the interpreter program, Mr. A, hello Mr. A or something, and then it goes to the next statement and so on. It will go sentence by sentence, okay? I mean statement by statement. I hope you understand about the interpreter, and we'll go to the next one. Now, here, interpreters execute high-level language program one statement at a time. One statement first, and then wait for it. Okay, then go to the next statement. One statement at a time. And the next one is no executable file is produced. What does it mean by this sentence? So let's say you are going to create a game. Okay, the game is saying hello Mr. A at the first time, and the second one is playing music, and then there's the space, ship and shoot, and then boom 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 boom, and there's the score, and there's 10 best score, and there's an option of exiting the game or continuing the game. That one, okay, is one game, is one executable file. So let's say there's an icon of a space. You see, imagine there's an icon of a spaceship. You click there, and that one is one executable file. So if you are using a compiler, so you create a program, there's a lot of sentence, okay, shooting, and then 10 best score, and then there's an if then and looping and so on. The whole program, it compiled and become a software or an executable file that can be played, that is produced. But then within the interpreter, since it's only executing for, let's say here, print hello, there is no executable file is produced. Okay, there is no software produced. Okay, this one is in the interpreter. I hope you understand the explanation for this second one. And let's go to the third one. Execution slow. One high-level language statement may need several machine code instructions to be executed. So let's say here, okay, there is a print hello. Okay, although you think it's just simple, hey, it's just saying hello. But how do you want to say hello? Is it at the top of the screen? Is it in the middle of the screen? What font does it use? And so on. Okay, it doesn't as simple as that showing hello. So you see, it needs several machine code instructions to be executed. So by one command saying hello, it needs several machine code to support to show in the screen hello. Okay, it needs the monitor. It also needs further RAM. It's also needing the processor and so on. So it needs several machine code instructions just to do saying hello, and the others too. So the execution for the interpreters is a bit slow, so it has to go through for several machine code. And the next one, the fourth one here, interpreter usually used in a program development. Example, you are using Scratch, or you are using Flash, or C#, or Java, or maybe you are using Director Lingo, Adobe Director Lingo. So that time when you do some programming like this in those software, okay, this one, the interpreter, is usually used in the program development. You are going to create a game or a software, it's still being developed, then you need an interpreter. The last one is error detection is instant. Example, you write down here, it's supposed to be writing, print, you type down here, print, hello. Okay, but then you use this star. Of course, this one will cause you error. Okay, because you type it wrong, you command it wrong. You are using the wrong syntax. So this one will cause you error. Okay. Now, when we see the interpreters, I know you want to see the sample. So here, I'm going to give you the sample. This one, what I did in Director Lingo. This one is interpreters run one by one statement. So this is what I did in Adobe Director or Macromedia Director. It's about to get time. Okay. On function get time, high level language is always English-like. Here you see the global hour, minute, second, AM, PM. So note the long time, note length, the note length. Okay. Here is the first place is 0, second place is 0, third place is 0. What I did here is to get the real time in this world and then showing it, okay, to the gamer or the one who uses the software. So here, the last one is member show time. Okay, if the hour is less than 10. Okay, so you see 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, okay, until 9 o'clock, okay, until 9 o'clock, until 9 o'clock, before 9, so the hour to show is always getting 0. So let's say 0, 1, 0, 2. It has an additional 0 in front of the hour. Okay, but then when it reaches to the 10, 11, or 12, you don't need to put 0. So it will be 12, 13. You don't need to put 0, let's say 0. 0.015 for 15. You don't need to add a 0 in front of the time. Okay, this is the purpose of this high-level language program. Okay, let's continue next. But sorry, the interpreters execute sentence by sentence. Okay, until you finish all of this. Now, compilers. You know the types of the translators, interpreters, compilers, and assemblers. Now, this one is compiler. A compiler is a computer program that translates a program, not just a sentence, okay, or not just a statement. Interpreters translate a statement, then executes it, and then goes to another statement. But this one, a compiler, is a computer program that translates a program written in high-level language into a machine code. So you write down a lot of statements, then all of it become a machine code. So it can be directly used by a computer to perform a required task. So example, you are writing a program. Okay, let's say you are writing a software named Excel, Microsoft Excel. Then after that, after it compiled, become a software or a program, okay, that one software, one program can be directly used by a computer to do spreadsheet as you want to. Or let's say you are creating a game, okay, that whole statement compiled, all program compiled into one game, then the game actually becomes a machine code that is actually can be run directly from the computer. Okay, so here's the diagram that you can see. The first one is a source program. You write the whole sentence. Okay, then it runs by the compiler and process, and it becomes an executable program. Sometimes you see that there is an exe, .exe. It means this one is a executable file. It's an executable file, or it's an executable program. Then after the source program become an executable program, when let's say you are creating the Excel or Microsoft Word, okay, that is for example, your software can be put the data. So let's say someone puts the data into your Excel or Word. Then there is the program output. Okay. At least there is a layout that is shown in your monitor, and then it also can process the data, or sometimes there's an input. Okay, there's an input. Let's say your game is a fighter game, and then you press left and right, the fighter goes to the left and right. So after there's an input data, the executable program is having a program output. So the character move to the left or to the right or fire something. Okay, that is what the compiler do. Okay, moving next. Compiler. Once the program is compiled, the machine code can be used again and again to perform the same task without recompilation. So to create a program, you need to do a programming, and the things that you work is called the source code, the secret one, okay, the source code. But the source code itself needs to be compiled. Okay, the source code is in high-level language. It's compiled into an executable file. So once the program is compiled, the machine code can be used again and again. So let's say you are creating a game, and then the game is written in high-level language. The high-level language compiled into a machine code. Then the game can be played again and again and again and again. So you don't need to compile it again. Once it becomes a program, I mean, after it's compiled into a machine code, you don't need to recompile it again. You can use the final product or the machine code again and again. You see this one? Okay. This one is Macromedia Director that I create. Okay, this one is I'm trying to create an alarm. Okay, I'm setting this one is the current time, and this one is the alarm. So I'm setting the alarm, let's say now it's 9 p.m. This is just an example, and you want to set at 9 past 5 minutes, okay, p.m. and then at 9, okay, the alarm still not ringing, but after it's reaching 9 past 5, the alarm will ring. This is what my software do. So this one is the script, and all of this text, all of these pictures, everything here, okay, the first time is run by the interpreter line by line. After there is no error, I compile it using a compiler, correct? I compile it using a compiler, and then it becomes a software, a machine code that is executable, EXE. I will call, or I'll name it as a alarm, ALARM, alarm EXE. So that alarm EXE, I can give it to everyone, so everyone will have their own alarm. And this one doesn't need to be recompiled again. You can use it anytime you want. You see the result. This one is the source code, okay, that hasn't been compiled yet. This one is still running in Adobe Director. This one is Alarm David Director, the software, Adobe or Macromedia Director. And then after it's compiled, it becomes a Alarm DVEXE. So this one can be run. It's a standalone. It doesn't need Adobe Director anymore. So it's standing on its own. I can give this to everyone else. So when I give this one to you, remember, if I give you this Alarm DVEXE, you don't need Adobe Director or Macromedia Director to run this one, okay? You just click this and suddenly you have an alarm. But then, if I give you the source code, this one, Alarm DV director, then when you click this one, there's nothing happen because you need to have the compiler or the software Adobe Director or Macromedia Director to run this. Okay? To make you understand better for this, you can consult with me, or let's see to the next slide. Now, let's make a summary for this compiler. Okay? What does compilers do? So, the first one is convert a program. Okay? Interpreter, convert a statement, not a program, a statement, and then executes it to do something, and then it goes to the second statement, do something, and it goes to the third statement. But compiler converts the whole program, the whole statement, into a machine code as a whole. Converts a program to machine code as whole. Okay, then the second one is executable file is produced. You see, this one is alarm dv exe, executable. Okay, interpreters doesn't produce any executable file. No. Some on the test is asking about whether a compiler can produce an executable file. That is true. But if there's a statement saying that interpreters produce an executable file, the answer is no. False. Now, the third one. Execution fast, since the whole program has converted already. Yes, that's true, because it's already become an executable file. Everything is faster. You don't need to execute line by line. The fourth one. Compiler usually used in finalizing a program. Do you understand what this statement said? You sure? So, when you create a game, okay, let's say a spaceship battling like this, boom, 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 there's a gunning, and the enemy space is boom, that you get a score. So, after you've done all of those commands, let's say after boom, you get a score, then you can get a high score, or there's a game over. After you're all done, okay, you finalize a program because you think that, okay, this game is done. You are going to finalize it. Then you use the compiler to create a game. Of course, if you think your game is not finished, why would you compile it? Or maybe you just want to test, it's okay. But usually it's used in the final process. When it's done, then it can be an executable file. So when I create an alarm, I want to make sure that this alarm exe is fully functional. I want to finalize it to become alarm exe. If my alarm doesn't work and I already produce this exe and I give it to you, would you use that? You will say, Mr. David, your software is useless. your game is useless. It's not even boring. It's useless. I cannot see a thing there. So you see, it has to be final. So the last one for the compiler is error detection is hard. While you've done this one, okay, there is no such a thing as a text is error, error, error. No, the error detection is hard to detect. You just feel after you see, okay, there is no error, but then I don't like the sound. The sound is too hard or the sound is too slow. That one is not error. Okay, the sound is too long. It's too repetitive. That one is not an error. But an error is, let's say your computer got crashed. Okay, it suddenly stopped because of this executable file. That one is an error. Talking about error, later on you will find there are two kinds of error. Okay, let's move on. So here you can compare the difference between compiler and interpreter. Okay, I'll make it quick. So compiler converts a program to a machine code as whole. Okay, while interpreter execute a high-level program one statement at a time, then it goes to the next statement. But this one is a whole. Converts a program to machine code as whole. Okay, moving on. Compilers is making an executable file. But here in the interpreters, no executable file is produced. So be careful. I might ask you whether this one is true, whether this one is false. So let's say compilers is making no executable file. The answer is false because compilers can create an executable file. The third one, execution fast. Okay, since the whole program has converted already. But then interpreters, the execution is slow. One high-level language statement may need a several machine code instruction to be executed. So it takes more time. The next one is compiler usually used in finalizing a program. After you finish your program, you've done all of the process, the final one will be creating the executable file. So to finalize a program. But here, interpreters usually used in the program development. I see it's being closed by my face, but then I can read it for you. Interpreters usually used in the program development. Now my face is gone. The last one is error detection is hard because it's already become an executable file. But error detection is instant. How instant is that? Okay, so let's say you type down, let's say print hello. It's supposed to use this one too. Then it has no error. But then if I use this one star here, or let's say you type down here, please. I know you want to be polite, but then in the programming, if you write down, please print hello, obviously it goes error. Why do you say please to the computer? I know you want to be polite, but by typing this please, it made the software error, okay? And the error detection is instant. The interpreter say, why are you saying please? It's error, okay? Now you see, do you see the differences between compilers and interpreters? I hope you do. Okay guys, now you know that compiler compiles high-level language into machine code. But this assembler is about the same. The result is always machine code. But it translates from assembly language, low-level language, assembly language into a machine code. See this one? Compiler, it's making high-level language into a machine language, machine code. But assembler, low-level language, assembly language into a machine code. So, once the program is compiled, the machine code can be used again and again to perform the same task without reassembly. It's just about the same with compiler. But this time it's from an assembly language. Now, the sample of assemblers is ARM, MIPS, and x86 language. This is the sample. You don't need to remember this. Okay? I'm skipping this. So, assembler translate from this one, assembly language, LDA, load the first number, adding the second number, store the sum of the first and second number. This one is an assembly language. By using assembler, this one becomes this 001, 0010, and so on. This one is the machine code. Okay? Assembler translate assembly language to machine code. You see, all of this you need to see, and then you paused it. Okay? This is the comparison between compiler, interpreter, and assembler. I want you guys to read this and remember. Okay? If there's any question, just ask me. Okay, what happens when things go wrong? So what happens if you do some programming error? Okay, so this time we are talking about errors. There are two kinds of error. Okay, the first one is syntax error. Okay, the second one is logic error. Syntax error. Okay, the example is like this. When you do the programming and say, please play sound file. Okay, you shouldn't say the programming that you type. You say please or you have to play. You don't need to say those things to the computer. Okay, even in the high-level language. That one is causing syntax error. By having the syntax error, the program cannot be compiled into a machine code. The software, let's say Python, Adobe Director, will reject you. it will say syntax error. Please fix it. So where a program statement doesn't obey the rule of the programming language, the program cannot be compiled to executable file if you are having a syntax error. So as you see, another sample of syntax error is you are programming using a Malay language. Okay, programming in high-level language mostly are using, yes, English-like. You cannot use Indonesian language, Malay language, or the other language. It's just English-like. If you want to do the Malay and the Indonesian word or other language, you can use it. But that is just for variable. It's for variable. Okay? Let's say you get your marks and you can replace with nilai markah. Markah 1 equals to 10. Markah 2 equals to 5. That one you can do it. But then let's say if mark equals to 100, then print perfect. You cannot say jika dapatkan markah 100, maka and the other language, that will cause you syntax error. The second one is logic error. Logic error, the program still can do it. But then, you see, when the program doesn't do what the programmer wanted to do, the logic error is found when the program is being run. Example of logic error, okay? Your mark should be from 0, minimum 0, and maximum 100. But then it's showing that your mark is 105. It still shows, the program still shows. It doesn't have any error. But then the programmer itself from the heart see the mark. How come this one is 105? It isn't logical. It isn't logical. So that's why it's called logical error or logic error. It's not syntax error. Now, can you guys see the difference between syntax error and logic error? Okay, here's the clear sample of syntax error. So you see, I'm typing a mumbling language, and then it's saying script error. Script error is the term in the Adobe Director or Macromedia Director, but then it's still considered as syntax error. It's just a different term, but this one is a syntax error. So this one is reported, okay? When you want to compile, there is a report, okay? Script error or syntax error. So you cannot compile it. But this error, okay, is being done one word by one word. The one who reports this, the one who reports the syntax error is the interpreter. So that's why when it's checking, the interpreter is checking one by one sentence, okay, one by one statement. It's reporting about this syntax error. You type it wrong. You type please or something error. And then, of course, when it's having the syntax error, you cannot compile into an executable file. This is another sample of syntax error. You see? You type it wrong here. I don't know why you press like this. You type it wrong. So it's causing a syntax error. The interpreter check one by one statement. Okay? This one, okay? this one is having two lines. This one is a comment. Of course, in this comment, you can type anything. Okay, even you can type in using Malay language or another thing. This is a note for the programmer itself. So the interpreter doesn't run this. It will bypass this one. Of course, in every programming language, there are a different kind of term to do this. Okay, it's not just minus minus. This one minus minus is a code for the Adobe Director lingo to call. This one is just a comment. Don't execute this. But the interpreter will execute this one, and so on. Except this one, as this one has the comment, so it won't be run. Okay? That one is for syntax error. I hope you are clear about the syntax error. This is another sample. Okay? Every statement run needs the interpreter. No syntax error. If there is no syntax error, then the program is ready to be compiled to be an executable file. Now, this is the process of creating or compiling my game to become a software or an executable file. You see, it's compiling. It has some percentage. Okay, it takes time until it reaches 100% compiling, and this is the result of the game. So here you see the game. The character can move to the left or right by pressing the keyboard. Okay, this is the keyboard: up, down, left, and right. There you go. So after the compiler do the job, the exe file is created and it can run independently without the interpreter. So it doesn't need Adobe Director anymore. The exe file can stand on its own. You can give it to everyone else, and then the people can use the exe file. It's become one software, one program, standalone. Now, things that can make syntax error. The example is this one, the please. You write down here on exit frame me. This is normal, but then you add here, please lah, go to frame 15. Of course, you cannot put the please lah. This will cause you a syntax error. Okay. Now let's move forward. Logic error. So the logic error is when the program is being run and the program doesn't do what it should. It's a logic error. Example, you are making a software that can make an input for the student's mark. The maximum is 100, the minimum is 0. But then the student's mark is become -10 or -30. Of course, you cannot put the mark -30 or 150. You should obey the minimum 0, maximum is 100. Although the program doesn't say it's having a syntax error, but through our logic, it's illogical. So this is another sample of the logic error. If you see this one, okay, this program runs normal without syntax error, but it will cause a logic error in this line. Which one? Okay, you need to find which one is having a mistake. Do you see? Come on, I'm challenging you guys to find which one is the logic error. Okay, I will reveal it to you. This one is the logic error. Can you see why it will make a logic error? Think. Please observe. Don't say it's really hard, but please see why is this formula for finding the average, it will cause a logic error. You see? Now, okay, I will tell you that the answer. So you should add this one. If you don't add this bracket, it will cause a logic error, which is it will count this one first. The value 3 divided by 3 and then add it with value 2 and value 1. This won't cause any logic error, but then the result will be wrong, weird, illogical. You should add this one, add the bracket, and there is no more logic error. Okay? You get it? This is the logic error in the graphic. Okay, it's not a logical error. It's not the logical error in the numbers, but it will make a weird sense of feeling. I don't see it's nice. You see the basketball player? It's losing his hand. Okay, that's what I call this glitch is a logical error. Okay, shoot the ball. Woo! Now you see the basketball player. Do you see the hand? It looks weird. That's one of the logic errors.
Glitches in games tend to be frustrating. After all, what's more frustrating than buying an unfinished, broken product? But honestly, if they don't break the game or impede your progress, sometimes it can make a boring gameplay session turn into one of the funniest things you've ever seen. Hey guys, Arcade Cloud here. And
So you guys see that? That one is also considered as a logic error. Now, this one, you can read about the integrated or interactive development environment, IDE. Most of the high-level language offer the use of IDE, integrated or interactive development environment. So this one, okay, this one is Adobe Director that I use, or you can use a Python, you can use a Visual Basic, you can use Turbo, Fortran, or C#. Okay, that one is, or Unity, even Unity, Java, that one is IDE, Interactive Development Environment. You see this one? The IDE usually has an editor, interpreter, compiler. Of course, this one can be compiled. Of course, there is an interpreter which saying your script is error. The script that you do, that you type is error. You type down please la or something. The interpreter will inform you, hey, you are making a mistake here. Syntax error. Okay. Debugging tools and many more which can support you to improve the speed of the development until you develop a game or a software. It will assist you. The IDE has a lot of tools. Do you see this one? Software Python. Even it has colors to help you. This one is the Adobe Director. Unity. Okay, this one has the scripts. This one has the animation controller. This one is the 3D character that you put. You can press play here. You can see the animation. And Adobe Flash is using timeline from time 0, 10, 20 until 100 and so on. This one is Adobe Flash. It uses the action script. This is also considered interactive or integrated development environment. Okay, thank you for your attention. I know it's a long video. You have studied a lot, and I'm grateful that you wanted to see this video and learn. Thank you very much, and I hope you can, just press like if you like this video. If you don't, just press dislike, or you can press like. Okay? Okay? See you, and thank you very much.